First off, a massive thank you for the support on the previous GT Sport video. It did very well, and I got some awesome advice, so I'm going to take some of it for this episode. We're actually trying post commentary. Why are you trying post? Well, you'll see. I think this will be a good way to kind of explain and also have the clips of the game as well, and where I'm not talking, because a lot of people liked where I didn't talk as much, which is sad to admit, but I mean, it makes sense. Having just to focus on it, I can focus better when racing, and in the end, I get a better overall package, in my opinion. We're going to try for the next 2 episodes. If you do enjoy it, my friends, smash a like. Let me know you want to see more of it in this style. If you want me to change anything in the future, let me know. This is a building up series until the actual game. That's when we'll start the proper series. And even still then, I think I'll be experimental with it. Today was a good one. Today was a fantastic one indeed. I did so much better than I've been doing previously. We started in the SLS AMG. That's the GR3 class car in this game. Or is it GR4? For God's sake. GR4. Honestly, don't know what it means. Really don't know what it means. But essentially, it's that class of car. It's the middle class that we've been playing with on the beta. And it's probably my favorite class because for its overall stability, even traction off, you get so much more. But for this one, I turned traction on full. I've heard, well, there was an update when I first got into the game, and there were a few things I wanted to tweak. In the menus, you may have seen the video, actually. I linked it on Twitter the other day, where someone uploaded a video clip showing the differences between the static third-person camera and the moving third-person camera, and it's in there now. It's on by default, even higher than it was before. So again, they've been listening to feedback, which is fantastic, awesome for camera feedback. They listened to it even more and turned it up even more by default. I think it was just a bit too low before, but now, if you want to, you can turn it off on in the beta. I think they also did some updates to the physics. It was a hefty update, so I guess, honestly, it would make sense. One major update, I think, honestly, is the traction control. I think that's one of the biggest features I've noticed difference-wise. Everything else feels pretty much similar, but that. The traction control, oh my god, it's so much better. Before, if I put it on 1, 2, 3, or something like that, it would feel awful. It would just kind of lock the car up when I was trying to turn and just almost make it power slide. Whereas if you put it on full or none, you had the best experience. Now, putting it somewhere in the middle, you can get something awesome, which is good. I'm very happy about that because the traction, I had a fight with the traction control before, but it's bloody better now. And then the final thing to mention is there are a few of the UI updates. For example, it now tells you where to brake, which at first I thought was a little bit annoying, but now that I've been playing it, it's useful. I do wish there was a way to turn it off, though. If there is, I'm just a fool, but honestly, I'm going to keep it on anyway because I'm finding it very helpful. I've come up with like a stage plan on how I learn the tracks and get the best time I possibly can, which I'll talk about once we get properly into the actual event, because this one specifically, it's awesome. We're on Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch because, well, it was the most appealing track to me. There is actually a dome track available, but we're going to do that next episode. We're only going to be able to do the qualifiers, these 2 next videos, because I'm actually going to be away, so I'm recording these now. And honestly, these are 2 awesome tracks, very, very different. But let's get in with Brands Hatch, because this is what it's all about. I would say the braking alert is actually much, much more annoying when you're in the third person. But honestly, I don't play in the third person. I cannot do my best time in the third person. Once I'm actually focused to a camera, though, say, for example, third person, I was showing you the new sway of the camera in normal conditions. Once I learned that and figured that out, I then become a little bit better at it. And then I switch the camera mode to the proper one to actually do well, and I do worse all of a sudden. But I get used to it, and I do better in the first-person cameras. I have always, always, always been one to prefer to do rear view, behind the car, like looking at the booty of the whip. But that's because I mostly played arcade games. When it comes to games like this, actually shaving time off, which I've never really been that much into until recently, I always go with first person now, or cockpit view. Cockpit view is usually what I go with, but the GT cockpit view I'm still not too keen on, especially when I'm trying to focus. The HUD view is probably the best. Anyway, this track. Let's talk about the track. As I said, I have a little tip or a little rule set that I follow when I'm learning a track. Now, this I've only just figured out recently. I mean, I figured it out a long time ago, let's be honest. But this is now kind of reaffirming every time, and even more so with the new brake warning that flashes on the screen. It can be a little annoying at first, but honestly, when I'm playing, I don't really notice it. Anyway, I'm just thankful it's not bold, alright? Or Comic Sans or something. Essentially what I do is look at where the track layout is. Gran Turismo does a fantastic job at telling you where you need to be on the road. There's the green kind of beacons everywhere. And then it also has the gear recommendation when you come into a corner, which is also very useful. And now it has a brake recommendation, which is useful. So if you follow all of these, you'll get a pretty damn fast time. Keep going over and over again, and you'll figure out slowly. Your brain will just automatically, almost, figure out that, oh, I can just go flat through there. You'll try it. You might mess up, but you learn where you're supposed to go flat out, where you're supposed to brake. Maybe brake earlier than Gran Turismo says. Brake later than Gran Turismo says. Don't brake at all when Gran Turismo says. Maybe don't change gear here when Gran Turismo says. Maybe don't go here on the track when Gran Turismo says. It's just almost a helpful guide. But once you've learned that guide, you'll keep doing laps and laps and laps and laps and laps, and you'll slowly figure out better ways to do it. And I'm always going to say that. Honestly, the guide on Gran Turismo is one of the best in the industry, and even the braking now is fantastic. Though, honestly, it's not that new, because they always did that. There was like the lines on the road previously, I believe, or something like that. Something similar. And it would have a red line where you should brake, and then it went blue again, I think, when you shouldn't. I'm thinking of Forza. Either way, both of them had the same thing. I always feel that Gran Turismo does better at helping you, which is... I know, it's a bit silly. I shouldn't want help, it's a simulator, but for people like me that want to get into it, and the 7-year-olds, because I'm in the same class as them, it's good. Now, I said I found a few corners on this track where I could literally go flat out and ignore it. At some points, I would shift down to figure it out. You'll see me, like, time and time again, taking the same corner, trying it different ways each time. Sometimes I'll brake earlier. Sometimes I'll go flat out and maybe it didn't work. Sometimes I'll change down a gear, then go flat out and it works. Sometimes I'll go up a gear. You keep experimenting around with it and you'll eventually find the best way to go around a track. It just works. I keep saying it, but it works. One thing I always find myself worried of is total failure. And I know that sounds weird because I do it all the time, but total failure terrifies me. And I don't know why. The only thing I could really pin it to would be I'm usually recording a video. And if I totally mess it up on Gran Turismo, I'm going to get shouted at. If I do something slightly wrong, honestly, on a Gran Turismo game, I'm probably going to get shouted at in the comments. But I'm learning. And I've got to accept that. I've got to figure out that I'm not going to be the best. I'm going to make massive mistakes. I'm probably going to say things wrong in these videos. But the point is I should still really push past my limits. Otherwise, I'm going to be sat in the same place for the longest time. I found it, honestly, so much easier to do this without actually having to commentate and focus on commentating, because usually it's a big balance. You don't realize it. Obviously, you can talk to your friends while playing games, that kind of thing. But when you're trying to focus, especially on something like this kind of game where you've got to get the corners perfectly right, you've got to focus on one thing or the other more than the other. Talking and driving on this game, I'm going to be all over the road if I'm trying to commentate live on this game. But I will do some of it, but it won't be this series, I think. For now, I think post-com is currently my favorite thing to do on the series, but that may change. We don't know. One final thing I wanted to say on this video is that, again, thank you so much for all your feedback on the previous GT Sport video, especially the first GT Sport video, which did amazingly well. But this one, this is a special one. I think this shows a huge leap in progress, if not the biggest leap in progress I've had on track racing ever. So much that I was pretty close for the first time ever to the top leaderboard people. Again, it's not the Nürburgring. We did the Nürburgring. The Nürburgring's one of the bloody most difficult, the tracks I have trouble with. With these tracks, they're smaller, and I'm actually able to go a lap within like a small amount of time and do it again and again and again. Whereas the Nürburgring, I'm going to do it like 8 minutes, and then I'm like, okay, I've got to do another one. 1 hour later, I've only done like 5 laps because I'm rubbish. But carrying on, I also think a massive improvement came from actually driving on Silverstone. Physically driving on Silverstone. So the way we actually did this event yesterday, if you didn't see the video, make sure to check it out. I'm not trying to plug it. I'm just trying to show you that it did help, I would say. I drove an F1 simulator. This F1 simulator, I did awful. Went straight off. Absolutely rubbish. But I then, after that point, figured it out. Obviously, on those laps after that, I didn't do too well. Went in the GT car. There was actually an instructor there to help us on the simulator, and I went around and he helped me a lot. Went back on the F1 simulator, I shaved off 6 seconds. Went back on the GT simulator, I absolutely smashed it again. Not sure how much I shaved, but it, again, would have been like the 6 seconds, 7 seconds radius. It was fantastic. To then go onto the track and carry on with the theory that I've learned on the game, and have the instructor there again to tell me the instructors at Silverstone were fantastic. If Silverstone was a track on this right now, I would have blitzed it. It would have been so cool. I would have smashed it, practiced it in real life, boy. I've never, like, every time I've been on days in where you got in a car or supercar or whatever, super day car experiences, whatever, I've always been limited by the instructor. I've always felt pulled back by the instructor. I can't push the car to the limits or whatever. But this guy was like, just go, go, go. And I'm like, my brain was like, stop, you are going to crash. But I actually got the tires to like at the limit of their grip, and I've never felt that in a car before, and it's so exhilarating. But point is, I think I've translated this to Gran Turismo a little bit. I might be completely wrong, but I believe that is the case. But I'm very happy with the end result. Thank you so much again for all your support. It's amazing as always. Let me know your thoughts on the series down below. And the final time. Let's just talk about that quickly. My final time was a 52.811, if you will. So I would say that seems pretty good. For people that don't know about that time, let me go into the top 10. The top 10 range from 49.1 to 48.6. A very, very small radius compared to recent. And they're all in GTRs, obviously, and a Sirocco for some reason. Sirocco's in there. But either way, this is awesome. I am like 2 or 3 seconds off of the best, which is amazing. An amazing feeling. An amazing feeling. I don't know what class I'm in or what position I'm in the whole leaderboards. I wish I knew, because that's probably the best I've done on a track racing game ever. Well, almost, I would say. It's pretty up there. Anyway, as I said, I don't want to keep rambling. Thank you so much for the support. If you enjoyed this series, be sure to smash the like, subscribe if you are new, and let me know how you did on this track. Until next time, guys, peace.